Hello, welcome everybody.
Welcome. Fancy seeing you here.
Wish we could see them. That's the problem with Zoom, but I guess 100 tiny little faces on a screen might break the internet or my brain. I'm just waiting for a few more people to join and file in, but let's see. While we're waiting for people, let's run a poll just to get a sense of who's in the room so that we pitch the content at the appropriate altitude. If you guys can just take a moment and answer three questions for us. I shouldn't be reading Amanda's banter in the chat. I should say focus on the task here. So Ava's our marketing director here at System and has set up and run this webinar, and the whole thing was her idea. Nobodon is my co-founder at System, and he's going to be monitoring the chat and trying to be alternatingly useful and sarcastic if I know him. And if Nopodon looks angry, he's probably not. His concentration face is
Or I
is
could
a,
just be hungry.
he might be hungry.
Are you hungry? Do you want to get a snack while we chat?
Usually Nopodon's icebreaker is about his guilty pleasures, so maybe we could do a round of that as well.
His guilty pleasure food.
Guilty pleasure food. Be careful
That's
with that.
important.
What is it?
It's pork skewers with sticky rice.
That's not guilty pleasure. That's just food.
That's food. Food.
Yum.
Ava, when we have enough answers, can you end the poll and share the results?
Of course.
Now we'll jump.
And here we go. Share the results.
All right. 28% CEO, founder, owner, 26% marketing director or growth leader, 30% marketing practitioner, and the odd writer and product manager. I don't know that you're odd, but the occasional writer and product manager. 70% in-house, 25% independent, 44% B2B, 23% to consumer, 33% mixed. How did you hear about us? Matt's newsletter. Amanda, superfan, follow them both. Awesome.
Cool.
Well, for those of you who are not already Amanda superfans, let me introduce her. So Amanda is, in my opinion, the world's best genius leading thinker on content marketing. And even though she looks like she's 22 years old, she actually has a lot. She's done a lot in those 22 years. Many years. First, she started as a journalist, which I think is the perfect background for content marketing because you actually have to write stuff that people genuinely want to read. And then many years as a marketing leader for a bunch of companies, including Fitbit, most recently VP of Marketing, and now Chief Evangelist at SparkToro. In addition to that, and having time for a family, she managed to amass 100,000 followers on formerly known as Twitter, now X, 64,000 followers on LinkedIn. She runs one of my favorite must-read newsletters. Her Substack is lucid, actionable, clearly structured, insightful, and full of personality, as you'll see. Most people don't know she's also a Cordon Bleu trained chef and the author of the forthcoming book, Zero Click Marketing. Amanda, what's that about?
Believe it or not, it is about zero-click marketing. So, well, what it's really about is it's a little bit of a short history of digital marketing and how the web has worked over the past 20 years. There's a lot about the disappearing click, right? Like what is happening with organic traffic, what's happening with our clicks. And then there's a lot of what you can do about it next. We also have a whole section on measurement and attribution. So we're very excited about it. And there's also a bunch of fun stuff. There is a motif of Back to the Future. I talk about barrel jeans, which is not going to age well, and that's the whole point. And a lot of footnotes, a lot of them, like 250, I think.
Is barrel jeans spelled with a G or a J?
With a J, like the pants, jeans.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there's some kind of genetic
You'll
defect.
learn all about it. It's going to be a
Okay.
whole thing.
Well, let's learn some of it about it now. So let's start with, I guess, the obvious. What is zero click marketing and why do we care?
Why do we care? So, zero click marketing, and you would think I would have the best explanation of this, is at this point, zero click marketing is a marketing strategy where you focus on influencing your audience's sources of influence in a way where you don't need to be dependent on the click. Now, it doesn't mean never clicks, doesn't mean clicks don't matter. Of course, they matter. It just means doing your marketing where truly your audience already is and where they already might be receptive to your message, so that in that moment, you're not dependent on them to transact or convert or whatever it is. What you really want is to engage them and keep them engaged so that over time, when they're ready, they will convert.
I see. So like 99% of a purchase journey happens when a person is not literally clicking a link to your website or your product. It's going to be influencers they see, or a video they watch, or something they read, or something they Google, or something they ask ChatGPT, or blah, blah, blah. And you need to also be, you can't just be in the 1% where you're like buying a click or happening to rank for a search term. You want to be able to be effective in the other 99% of all places, like people did before the internet, even.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm pulling up some research right now. We have some relatively new research at SparkToro at SparkToro over the past like 6 years, we've been doing a lot of research on how people are using the internet, right? And like how traffic is flowing across the web, if it flows at all. And our recent research, which we're calling it the search happens everywhere research, is we really just through clickstream data, we looked at where people are actually spending time online and how they're spending that time, obviously to the degree that we can. And so what we've realized, like what we've really seen here is, of course, search, like, user search happens mostly on traditional search engines. That's like 81% of search happens on Google, Bing, whatnot. And of course, Google alone is like 75%. So,
Still
okay.
only 80%. I would have thought all search happened on Google. So what's the other 19%?
Yeah. So then next is e-commerce platforms at about 9.7%. So
Like
that's going to
Amazon?
be like Amazon, Walmart, eBay, Home Depot, Etsy. After that, it's social networks at 5%. So that's going to that includes in our data panel, that includes YouTube for this. So you get Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, LinkedIn. After that is then AI tools like ChatGPT, Claude, and DeepSeek at 3%. And then the smallest slice of that pie is other verticals at 0.9%, which includes Wikipedia, IMDb, New York Times, Craigslist, archive.org. So yeah, so that is where people are now doing their searches. And I mean, commerce is a big one, right? And what was the other thing here that I wanted to show? I think that was it. Maybe I'll kind of pause there because that's a lot of numbers to
Okay.
just kind of throw out there.
So the key takeaways I'm getting from that, first of all, at the moment, I mean, we're all obsessed with AI and LLMs, but in terms of actual numbers at the moment, it's probably trending up, but it's relatively small.
It's still relatively small. I mean, and I think growth to ChatGPT is, has slowed down a bit. Also in this research, something really interesting that we found is only about half of visitors to ChatGPT search or prompt at all. It was something like 60, I think it was like just over half of people who go to ChatGPT prompt something. I don't know what else they're doing. We think that a lot of people are being sent the other people's prompts, like, oh, look at this this prompt that I made. People are looking at that. It's people going to the website and not knowing what to do, so they just leave. So I think that's another really interesting data point, that web traffic does not equal usage, right? So ChatGPT, of course, is getting tons and tons of traffic, but we don't know. Well, now we can hypothesize, not even hypothesize. We've seen the data. Just over half of people are doing something there.
I saw a report of how people are using ChatGPT, and yeah, most of it isn't search. A lot of it is like, help me rewrite this email or video creation or things like not. Okay. So why is zero click marketing suddenly becoming more important? Is it? I think it is. Your newsletter seems to indicate it is. So what's going on there?
Yeah. So I mean, it's the things like the I guess to sum it up, the platforms as we've known them, like Google, Facebook, right, have been hoarding traffic and more of it for years. So at this point, it's something like 2/3 of all Google searches end without a click, right? Of course, part of that is people finding their answer directly on the search engine results page, and that's fine. Or it's people conducting another search. But in that study that we did, I think we're going to have some new research on that, by the way, in the next couple months. But anyway, it's a 2024 study from SparkToro on zero click search. Based on that, we know that out of 1,000 searches, only about 360 clicks go to the open web. So fewer clicks are going out. We have some other research showing that when we look at where most of the traffic goes, most of the traffic overwhelmingly goes to the top, 200 or so websites on the web. And the top 200 websites or so, I was looking at that where I was like, well, what is a top 200 website? Is it like BuzzFeed? It's not. Top 200 website is like target.com, or it's homedepot.com. I think BuzzFeed is like 300 or 500 or something. Doesn't matter. But that was that. And then of those top 200, are they sending clicks out? They are sending out fewer and fewer clicks to the open web. So all that to say is just that, like, when you're looking at this data in the billions and trillions, which is how it all works, right? Because there are so many people being on the internet, we're seeing traffic slowly shrinking over time, which over the years will represent billions of clicks, which is not great for us.
So if I Google something now, Google's going to show me results that keep me on their properties like AI Overview or YouTube. Then they're going to show me paid stuff they can monetize. And then even the organic search, it sounds like the algorithm has changed to focus more on the domain authority rather than like going after these niche long tail websites who might have better content.
Yeah, so that's another interesting thing, right? So if we want to look at what's winning on Google search right now, a lot of the winning websites are websites that are full destinations, not so much editorial websites. So gosh, there's a lot to unpack here. So we'll talk about this first, like who's winning on Google now. So the people winning on Google now are people whose websites, the whole website, right, as completely resolves a user's query as possible, right? So let's thinking about some examples here. There's Byrdie.com, BYRDIE.com. That's like a beauty product, skincare product website, review website, right? There's great content there, but it's just editorial. People can't transact there. So they've been, I mean, they're a well-known website, so they still have traffic. But if you were to look up their traffic in like Ahrefs or something, you would see that it's been declining over the past like year or two. Now, if you look at a shop like dermstore.com, Dermstore at the moment, has a lot less traffic than Byrdie, but they are fast growing. And Dermstore also has content that is like product reviews, roundups, but you can also buy from them. They sell lots of different kinds of beauty and skincare products. So Google is seeing that, right? And seeing like, oh, if someone is looking to compare beauty products, most likely it's because they want to buy these products. Therefore, why would they go to Byrdie when they could go to Dermstore and get everything they need from there?
Or Google Shopping.
Or Google Shopping. Yeah, exactly.
Or soon to be Gemini agentic commerce. Yeah.
Yeah. So the best thing we can, I mean, looking at that, I think the best thing we can do now is try to have our brands become full destinations. And by that, it's like satisfy the query as much as you can, right? Can you provide something that people can't get somewhere else? It doesn't have to be a store. It could be like a calculator, original research, something where people can only get it from you.
I
And
see.
then how can you build a memorable brand, right? Like another good example in this, and this was some research that I read from Cyrus Shepard. So he has the Zippy Signals Substack. Very good stuff. And it's easy enough to read where like I can understand it. So I highly recommend it. And he talked about memorable brand, right? So one example he brought up was Mental Floss, right? I think a lot of us here know of Mental Floss, the website. So one, Mental Floss is not a product, like that those two words, right? It's not a product. When you're Googling Mental Floss, it can only really be that website. So when I say memorable brand, I'm not saying, oh, you have to be Nike. You don't have to be Nike. You just have to be clearly for a specific audience and deliver on that promise.
Like Birdie.
Like Birdie or like Derm Store.
Oh, okay. Yeah. With the actual
Yeah.
products. Okay. And then the other piece of the other piece of the zero click trend, as I understand it, is social media, which is
Yes.
the other place I think most of us get most of our content these days.
Yeah. And because these platforms are suppressing links, whether you want to say it's because it's a better user experience to stay on the app and consume the content there, or have people been trained to want to stay on the platform. I don't know. But the point is, these platforms reward behavior that keeps people in.
And this is,
So, no,
sorry,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was a bit of a tangent, but I've heard a lot of conjecture on this. I notice when I post on LinkedIn with a link, it still seems to really limit my impressions, like by 70 to 90%. Hey, I don't know if you've posted stuff with links in it lately. What are you seeing on that front on LinkedIn?
I've for me personally on LinkedIn, overall organic reach is lower. So whether or not I post a link, I have noticed that including a link doesn't seem to affect the impressions as much as it used to. Similar to you, like I would see like 9 or 10x the reach in links without a post. Now it's more like 6x the reach without a link. So it's like a little bit better, but it's not that much better. um, but I keep trying to experiment with different formats on LinkedIn, like embedded video. Video is getting like crushed, like it's not doing well. Maybe people don't like my video, but I'm hearing from a lot of people video doesn't perform as well as it used to.
Okay.
I've been using image carousels or just plain images. For me, I've just found that full text posts still perform the best. Like text, no images. How about you? How about you?
Text with an interesting image has been my winning formula. But I
Mm-hmm.
guess the point is there. LinkedIn doesn't want to send people to not LinkedIn. YouTube, you can put a link in the description, but it doesn't get much traffic. Instagram, you can't even put a link. So, yeah, we're back to zero click.
Yeah,
One way,
absolutely.
however you slice it.
Totally. And we could even talk, I don't have as much data to support this, more of just like a lot of deep diving on other people's channels, not so much research that I've done, but we could talk a little bit about YouTube too. But I think overall what we're seeing across these social platforms is the more that you create native content for each of these platforms, the more success you'll have. Like when you think about like who are my favorite accounts to follow on whatever social network, it's not people who are linking people out to a blog, right? It's all the accounts whose content you can consume right there where you already are.
Okay. So in good old days of like, you could keyword stuff a page and get a ton of organic traffic are over. We're now into a zero click world increasingly, and that trend's probably not going to reverse anytime soon. Um, so how
Oh,
do we do it?
there's one more problem.
Oh,
There's another one. The other one is dark social. So even if you do get the traffic, you probably can't see it. So so we've found that there are some networks or platforms that hide whole referral strings. So even if you get a link, so if you get a link from TikTok, WhatsApp, Slack, Mastodon, if you care, Discord, 100% of that will be marked as direct in your Google Analytics. And for other platforms like LinkedIn, for instance, 15% of the time or so, that traffic is marked as direct. So even if you're counting on getting accurate data from Google Analytics to show you, like, I know where my traffic's coming from, you'd still be wrong. Like, you might be directionally correct, but in the case of TikTok, where everyone's like, oh, we have to be on TikTok, it's, oh, do you? When you can't see any of the traffic that comes in, and you can't, all the analytics that you see in TikTok has to, shocker, come from TikTok. And oh, shocker, if you want more reach on TikTok, you have to give them money and advertise. Oh, huh.
Okay. So even if you are getting clicks, a lot of times you can't track them. It just looks like organic. So then I have a few places I want to go with this. One is like, okay, therefore, how does that actually change our approach to marketing? Like, how do you do good zero-click marketing? Two will be, how can you, what are the best ways to track this? And then three, we definitely need to talk about, even though it's apparently only 3% of searches right now, everyone I'm sure wants to know how to get recommended by LLMs if that's possible, or what we can be doing, to set ourselves up for when LLMs rule the world next week. So where do you want to go first? Should we talk about how to actually do zero-click marketing?
I don't know. I think we should talk about the LLMs, because that'll dovetail with how to do zero-click marketing. Yeah.
All right. So yeah, your latest Substack newsletter this week was like step by step. And the subject line was something like, optimizing for LLMs is just doing good marketing. So
A
talk
lot of
about
it is that. Yeah. So let's please. So it's funny because I have mixed feelings about people suddenly, caring very much about GEO, AEO, AI optimization. I had this sort of light bulb moment the other day. This is what kind of sparked the Substack piece. I've been sitting in on a couple webinars to learn more about GEO, so generative engine optimization, and AEO, answer engine optimization. I don't even this stuff is so new. I don't think there's agreed upon like this is how this is, but
we haven't even picked the acronyms yet. Okay.
Right. We haven't even picked them. So I mean, maybe I'm wrong and I'm very open to opinions here, but I see AEO as under the umbrella of GEO. So in generative engine optimization, when you are optimizing to be seen in these generative tools, part of it is being in the answers. So like in the AI overviews, in the ChatGPT answers, all that stuff. And I think this can also just be called AI optimization. So I've been sitting in on these webinars, and these are led by people who are very, very technical, and I'm not super technical. And I'm hearing them talk about like, retrievability, making sure robots text is enabled or disabled. I think enabled so that the robots can see it. And then the questions that are coming in are like, well, okay, so if we're going to talk about extractability, what is the ideal H2 header length for my blog posts? And that's where I start to feel like, well, I mean, shouldn't the header just be like what it's supposed to be? Like, shouldn't it just be whatever it is that helps a person understand what you're going to say? Like, it's not like GEO says headers must be 14 characters and that's it. Like, that's not how that works. It just needs to be easy to parse.
So then if it's not the the length of the H1 or whatever, what is it? To the extent we even know yet, but
yeah. So to the extent that we know, I've distilled it into 4 layers. So I see it as 1, retrievability. So can the LLMs crawl your website, right? Do you have the robots text? There is a really good tool that I found yesterday. I'm going to drop it in the chat. So I don't know if you all follow Lily Ray. She is an SEO doing a lot of work in GEO right now. She has an LLM content visibility scanner.
oh, nice.
It's really cool. I can't copy and paste in the chat for some reason. Okay, so it's
Sure.
algorithmic.co.
We can send it in the follow-up email too.
Okay, cool. It's a great tool. You just put in your URL and then it'll show like it crawls the raw the raw HTML of your website. It'll show you if the LLMs can see it, and then it'll give you some action items. Like maybe you need to fix your JavaScript dependent links or whatever it is. So this is retrievability, making sure the AI tools can even see your website and index it properly. Now this is partly an SEO thing, right? Like making sure the internet can see your internet stuff. So that is that. The next piece is extractability. So this is the good writing piece. This is the H2 header stuff. And it's the stuff that is, this thing is well written. This thing is clear. This thing explains the thing, right? So useful headings, concrete examples, having good evidence, using good comparison language, original frameworks, right? This is like the good content piece.
So is there any white space between good writing for LLMs and good writing? Like, have we finally gotten to the point where those are the same thing, or is it like SEO writing and human writing?
You know, I mean, I will say, I think the LLMs have an easier time with simpler text, right? Like there's a whole thing with like semantic triples, which is the way that LLMs tend to produce text and the way it likes to receive it. So a semantic triple would be, this is the thing does this thing, the thing does this thing to this thing, right? It's sort of like subject, verb, direct object.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if you kind of think of semantic triples and you're using ChatGPT, you'll probably see it a lot more. They'll be like, oh, there it is. It's a simple sentence. It's this, does this, to this. And you just it's a particular cadence that might feel very LLM-y. So
Okay.
I think that's to say, like, it's a very simple sentence structure, so it can parse that easily. But I might say, like, well, I think humans can understand that better too. Like, so
clear and declarative.
clear and declarative. Yeah,
Okay.
totally.
So that's level 2.
That's level 2. Level 3 is credibility. So this is, once the system finds and understands your content, does it have a reason to trust it? Right. So I actually think credibility is a PR and content marketing problem. Right. Because can the system trust this?
How does it
right?
decide to trust?
So interestingly enough, it's not so much domain authority. So I know that Kevin Indig and AirOps did some research recently on fan out queries. We don't have to go into that because I barely understand that part. But they found that there isn't really a correlation between domain authority and ability to be cited in the LLMs. I think what it looks for is it's more so relevance and satisfaction to a query on a given page. So like, is the page very focused? Is it specific to a topic, and can it fulfill the problem that somebody might have when they stumble upon it? So this is where I want to choose to be an optimist and say that, like, those shitty listicles of like top 20 marketers to follow. So for a long time, this is kind of funny. For a long time, when you would look these up, it was always the same people. And I remember ranting to my colleague, Rand Fishkin, about this. And I was like, why is it always the same? Every year it's the same. And like half these people don't work in marketing anymore. And he's like, and when I ranted about this was like 5 years ago. So before LLMs were mainstream. And he was like, because it's an SEO play. And if it's too different, it's going to look wrong and it's not going to rank. And I was like, oh, that actually makes perfect sense. No wonder people do that. That was one of those, like, I'm sure a lot of people here knew that. I didn't know it then, but I was surprised. Now, the interesting thing with AI is that AI crawls more, it goes deeper, it sees more. So if it sees a difference in something, what it might do, for better or for worse, is it might highlight that as a trend. It might be like, whoop, this data point's different. We have to pay attention to this. And so it might do that. It might highlight something because it comes from a credible source. So a friend of mine has this long running reputable marketing agency. And there was one negative review on Glassdoor, like from 10 years ago or something. And his agency has been in business for like 20, 25 years. It was something like 10 years ago, or some really old Glassdoor review was like, oh, like high employee turnover, blah, blah, blah. And maybe that was true in that year, but that hasn't been true since then. But in like ChatGPT, Perplexity, it all highlighted that as like, oh, this is a red flag here. And it was a data point that my friend hadn't, I don't even think he knew the review existed until he saw it in ChatGPT. So in response, what they did to that was they started publishing their own data on their company. Like, this is what employee turnover looks like. Here's what retention looks like. Here's what happy customers have to say about us. And even just after a few days, days and then weeks, AI tools stop citing the bad review. Now,
so give it some, it will hang on to old information if that's the only information it has.
Exactly. So, which is to say, like, if you don't do something about your own public record, someone else will do it for you, or something else will do it for you.
Okay.
So that's one. That's credibility. Yeah. So lots of things you can do aside from that to enhance your credibility, right? You can do original research, publish first-party data, source expert quotes, use customer examples, specific experience and pain points, like all the things that you would do to serve your customers anyway. And again, I think this is a content marketing and PR issue. Arguably, maybe it's a product marketing issue too.
So when you say PR, is it helpful to get cited or referenced in publications that are credible in your domain?
As far as I've seen, yes, that does help. Yeah.
With or without a link, because this isn't about backlinks or anything anymore.
Yeah. I mean, well, links do help. I think for years, Google has been trying to say like links don't matter as much, but they actually do matter. I think they matter for the AI tools.
They do. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Is that the last layer, or is there another layer?
The last one, well, I kind of talked about it already, but the fourth layer is public evidence, right? So I did kind of talk about it already. This is the most zero-click part of GEO. This is probably the most PR part, right? Because this is a thing that you have far less control over, but maybe your PR team can help influence. So public evidence would be like Reddit threads, YouTube videos, LinkedIn posts, reviews, comparison pages, third-party mentions, all the things that the rest of the internet says about you.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they are starting to look at YouTube video content as well.
Yeah, especially if you have the transcript in there. Or yeah.
Which you should. Okay.
Which you should. And Reddit. So, I want to go back to what you said earlier about long tail. You said something about long tail keywords, how we used to be able to go after those in our SEO strategies. We could still try. But so Ross Simmons over at Foundation Inc. did a lot of research on Reddit specifically. Well, Reddit as it relates to Google search. And this was specific to, I believe, B2B SaaS, where they looked at, I think, over like 3,000, either 3,000 or over 5,000 queries. Basically, so you can tell, like, I don't know all the numbers, but the takeaway is they found that on long tail keywords, even generic ones, so not even just best software, but just generic, long tail generic keywords that might describe a customer's problem, sometimes up to 100% of that traffic or the win went to Reddit, not to the brand. And it's something like 50 to 60% on average. When people are searching for these things, they go to Reddit because Reddit has the discussion already, which is really just to say that more and more people are finding you and learning about you on probably Reddit before they ever go to your website.
And LLMs are training on Reddit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So double win there.
Double win.
All right. So, because you're also an active content marketer in addition to apparently reading everything and attending every webinar on what's changing, um, what are you actually doing about this yourself? Or what are you recommending SparkToro or other companies? What are the specific things, highest impact things people can do?
Wait, I like this question because no one's ever asked me what I'm doing. No one ever asks, how are you? No.
I didn't ask that.
Well, you said, what are you doing? And what are you doing at
What are you doing? I
SparkToro?
did ask that.
Yeah, you did.
Just not the genuinely empathetic form of the question, which is what I should
Yeah.
have asked.
It dovetails into like how I'm doing. No. No, this is really interesting. So what's funny is at SparkToro, so I'll talk about SparkToro, is we don't have an SEO or GEO strategy. We just exist and we do things and we market things and we make things and research things. That is just how we do things. It's just how we are. But our LLM visibility is quite good. It's very good. Like, so some tools you can use. There are some really good tools. Have you guys seen HubSpot's AEO grader? That's a good one.
No,
HubSpot
but
has theirs is good because you can it's free, right? You can just see the overview of like, do I even show up here? So that's good. And then there's also gumshoe.ai. So Gumshoe, I think your first query or your first search will be free. And then after that, I don't think it's too expensive. So those are good tools to look at. HubSpot will show you, you know, if you even show up, what that visibility looks like. And then Gumshoe will show you. Sorry, I just have to refer to my notes on Gumshoe. What was it? Yeah, Gumshoe is great. And I could talk a little bit about the research that we did with Gumshoe. Why can't I find it?
In the link.
Okay, I have it here. Okay, thank you for the link. All right, so Gumshoe. So what's interesting about Gumshoe is that it'll run queries from the perspective of buyer personas. So not just at the brand level. So instead of being like, oh, is system cited? It'll ask, what does a CTO and a mid-market SaaS company ask ChatGPT about system.co? Like something kind of like that. So it tries to run the query in a way that an actual person would do so. It also tracks like 11 AI models, and it's really good for understanding how different types of buyers find you. So Gumshoe is great for that.
okay. So abstracting lessons from what I think you just said.
Mhm.
One thing you're doing that's working quite well is you're coming up with original research,
Mhm.
original points of view and publishing them.
Yeah,
If your
that's
website
it.
just has generic facts, there's no point in an LLM citing you because, yes, converting from Fahrenheit to Celsius is times 1.8 plus 32 or whatever. Um, so the first thing is you have to be creating original content, unique stuff, and it needs to be credible. And then the next piece, this gumshoe piece, is you really need to understand what questions your prospects are asking at a nuanced level. Where like SEO, it used to be, kind of a keyword map was like a high level category like cycling gear and then jerseys and then, map brand jerseys and comfortable cycling, gear for winter or whatever. Now the fat long tail has gotten way fatter and way longer because people ask really specific questions like which long sleeve cycling jersey has moisture wicking fabric, and is available in Dubai and costs less than $100 or whatever. So you're saying
Yeah.
like you win by understanding the questions your prospects are going to be asking at earlier stages?
Yeah, that's part of it. Or just at various stages in general. And it covers, and it's important to think about the different kinds of prompts that people will use. So a couple things here. One is that when you ask a group of people to prompt ChatGPT or Claude or whatever with a certain prompt, almost everyone will do it differently. So that's one. Like people don't run the same types of prompts. So I mean, what you could do, it's not scalable or sustainable, is you could try to think of different prompts yourself and keep running them in ChatGPT and whatnot. But what Gumshoe does is it does that thinking for you. so that it shows you here's how your brand shows up, but at scale, right? So it'll
Okay.
show you like, instead of you personally running like 300 queries on your own, it'll do that work for you. And that's important, right? Because we all, I think most of us know, maybe not, it's okay if you don't, is these LLM tools are probabilistic, not deterministic. So theoretically, it's going to give you a different answer each time you ask it the same thing. So, which is to say, it matters to show up, but there's no such thing as like a ranking in ChatGPT because it's going to be random each time. Maybe you can see reliably that you show up second or third every time, but that doesn't really matter when like it's a probabilistic engine. So I would say like, and this was research that we did with Gumshoe. This is also on the SparkToro blog, where we were trying to figure out like, is AI ranking even a thing? So one, it's not. But AI visibility, yes, that's very much a thing. And if we can give a number, because giving numbers is nice and it's helpful, is a general good number is 60%. Meaning if you're visible at least around 60% of the time, you're doing pretty well. So that in my mind has become like, are we at least 60%? Because if you are, you're crushing it. 60% visibility in your category, of course.
Okay. So let's zoom out, if we can, a bit from AI LLM visibility to zero-click marketing in general. Like
Yes.
what are the main takeaways there? How do you approach the fact that we still need to build a brand even though we're not going to be getting many clicks?
Yeah. So, all right. So this will also help you achieve your GEO goals, right? It is one, like find out where your audience already is. Not where you wish they'd be, but find out like which social networks they use, which websites they frequent, which AI tools they use, right? Because we know across various industries there are some audiences that way over index on Claude and way under index on like DeepSeek, right? So that's a good data point. Um, wink, wink, cough, cough. You can find this in SparkToro. You can run a query. We will tell you like, here's what your audience uses more or less frequently compared to the average web user or the average US or UK user. So there's that. Find out where your audience actually is and what they're paying attention to. And then do the marketing there where they already are. Like in the case of social networks, what you could do and what I think you should do is take a sort of SEO type approach to like an Instagram or a LinkedIn. And by when I say sort of, I mean because SEO for LinkedIn is not a thing. It's more so thinking about like, okay, of the people who would be my competitors in LinkedIn, what are they talking about? What are they posting? And how can I do something that is differentiated, that is credible, and that fulfills needs that my audience already has? So that's SEO adjacent.
So you're saying first, figure out where your audience is looking when they're
Mm-hmm.
thinking about your product category.
Mm-hmm.
Second, what we got to talk about actually step zero is understand what questions they're going to have and what
Yeah.
topics are going to interest them. Second is figure out where they're going to be and show up there. And then third is look at the most successful content already in that place, what the Reddit threads that have the most engagement, the social posts by influencers in your space or competitors that get the most engagement, and start creating original content along the highly engaging content along those lines.
Yes. Yes. And then plus, in the case of LinkedIn, LinkedIn is right. I think they said it's the top or one of the top most cited domains in LLMs.
Oh,
I think
good.
YouTube is number one now. But anyway,
Okay.
it's one of the top most cited, which just means like if you're creating good content on LinkedIn, or just if you're creating content on LinkedIn, that's already like going into the bucket of like, are we doing the LLM stuff? Yes.
Okay. And there's a question earlier. It says, talk about, from Benjamin, talk about YouTube. We're here for the hot takes. So
Oh
what is your
yeah.
take on YouTube these days?
I could do lots of hot takes on YouTube. I mean, and this is a cool group, and this will be new words that I'm saying for the first time. Okay, so I've been experimenting a little bit with faceless YouTube channels and like researching like for
What does
myself,
that
not
mean?
like
Like
a faceless YouTube channel. Like,
not
what
a
is that?
person, but like the
Not a
AI
person.
marketing update channel or something.
Yeah, where there isn't a person behind it, or I mean, there is a person, but there isn't a person, right? This is not like this is separate from Amanda's YouTube channel or Matt's YouTube channel. This is
Cool.
like, yeah,
Like
and
the way the Economist is faceless.
yeah, like that.
Okay.
So seeing what works there and what doesn't work, and it's super interesting because all the things that work are the things that are very native to platform. Very native to platform. So that's not specific enough. So what I'll say is like all the things that we do, that even I do to boost or to point people to my YouTube are not good. And the reason they're not good is because what I'm doing, and okay, what I'm doing for Amanda's YouTube channel, right? It's like new podcast episode is up. If you want to watch it, here's the link to the YouTube video, which that makes sense, right? Like, of course, you have a YouTube video, you would give people the link. However, where this is actually bad is then people are probably going to click the link, but be like, oh, I don't know if I want to watch it yet. Like, okay, I'll click on it. And then the video comes up. Maybe they're like, oh, it's an hour. I don't have time. I'll do it later. And then they close. That's not good. So YouTube is going to be like, oh, this video might not be very good
High
because
drop off. Yeah.
the person dropped off right away. They didn't watch it. Okay, that's a data point for YouTube. However, when you're optimizing for YouTube, what you're doing there is like fulfilling the SEO in YouTube. You are serving the audience that is looking for it. And you also have to kind of trust that YouTube's algorithm is going to try to find the people who want that video. And the people who want that video are people who are already hanging out in YouTube because they're there to watch things. Someone who's skimming through their inbox, looking at Substacks, they're not looking to go to YouTube, right? And so the other thing there is like, if you really want people to watch your YouTube video, it's got to be a damn good video if it's going to send someone out from their Gmail to your YouTube video and have them actually stay, right? So that's why you have people like Mr. Beast saying like he doesn't even bother like promoting his stuff on Twitter. And he said this before, like publicly, like, because I think at the time he like kind of overgeneralized it as like, oh, external traffic is bad, which is not so much that in of itself. It's that external traffic tends to represent somebody who's not your core audience, and therefore they won't watch it as long, and therefore it's bad.
So then the takeaway, sort of mirroring what you were saying, is the way to win on YouTube is to make awesome YouTube content.
Yep.
That's
exactly.
actually gonna, okay.
Yeah, make good YouTube content. And then the
So
other
again,
things,
the key to zero-click marketing is to actually do really good marketing.
Exactly, right? So like now it's like, if you think of that, like the bell curve of like the dumb looking guy and then like the Jedi, right? Where it's like
the midwit,
the midwit. Yeah, right. That's where we are with marketing. Like the dumb person going, oh, just too good marketing. And then the top of the bell curve is
it's the guy who's like, how many characters in the H1 and blah blah blah. And you're like, no, actually, create amazing content. Create amazing original content that is perfectly suited to the platform that it's on. Okay.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. And like, because all of this is content, right? YouTube is content. LinkedIn is content. And I'm a content marketer. It's hard for me to not see the world as content. Like, I see the world as all content, but however, I say that as like, but that's marketing. It's still just like, marketing.
So I appreciate you declaring your bias, but in this case, I mean, it's pretty irrefutable. Like, before you buy, you're not going to just impulse buy, a piece of SaaS for your company or something. You're going to go get information. Well, information is content, and you're going to get it from somewhere, and you're going to want to get the best information. And so therefore, creating the best information, getting it out there where your customers are going to be is the key. And then it sounds like the two levers you've got to pull there. One is, how well do you understand your customer sort of information diet? Where are they going to look? What questions do they have? What content is going to resonate with them? And then how well do you understand the channel? Like, are you like Walmart brand Mr. Beast? Can you actually create good native YouTube content that's going to show up in people's feeds or LinkedIn or Reddit or whatever? But instead of like trying to trick it and keyword spam, just like be awesome at it.
Yeah. No big deal, guys, right? Let's
So
just
just go do good marketing.
so just go do your marketing and do it gooder in the goodest places.
All right, one last question then. You get what you measure. It's easy to measure clicks, but if there's zero clicks, how do you actually measure if you're doing a good job?
Yeah, that's hard, right? So this is where we are, and this is in the book. We talk about, we spend way too much time talking about how attribution is broken, and we don't have time for that right now. So instead, we'll talk about what we can do. We can measure things. We can measure correlation. So I encourage people to look at the things that you can actually track. You can track, and this is also where I feel good about GEO AEO is like it's giving people, I think it's giving executives or people a reason to care more about these things that have always mattered, right? Again, you think about using the pressure washer to rinse your spoon. It's like, why do we need AI just to tell people you need better PR? Like, that's weird to me. But you know what? Let's go with it. It's like, all right, fine. If we want to influence the Claude, the Chat GPT, the Perplexities,
3% of searches.
3% of we really want to show up at 3% of searches. Fine, sure. Okay. Well, the way to do it is to actually do really good research, do really good original research, right? Answer a question that everybody in your industry or in your target audience already has. Show the methodology, show your biases, right? Like show like the limitations of your research and then give the takeaways and what it means for them. Like, again, that is also just really good content, but it is helpful stuff. And that's what's going to get cited in the LLMs. So going back to measurement, you can measure your AI visibility. You can measure your citation share of voice. You can do those things. You can look at branded search. So as you're doing more and more of this really good content, is your branded search going up?
So are more people Googling your product or your company name?
Because we all know, like, and here's the other thing, like something like 75% of people, like, what is it? It's too hard to say right now, but more and more people are on social media. Okay. I don't think we need a stat to say most people are on social media and are using social media.
No one's going to call bullshit on that. Yeah.
Right. No one will on that. But it also means that people are spending time there, but then they go to Google to find you when they already know you.
So they hear the influencers talking about you and then they Google you.
Yep. And then that shows up as direct search. So you can look at whether direct search is going up. You can also look at mentions across the web. So sure, Google Alerts. I prefer Alert Mouse. So an Alert Mouse basically is Google Alerts, but it's a lot better. Like it actually works. You know how Google Alerts doesn't capture everything. It captures stuff that isn't actually you. It sucks. Alert Mouse is just better. And it also will flag if like a major publication cited you. Like if it's, let's say you got a mention in like the New York Times, it would show it, right? And then you could also see like kind of the breakdown of like, not breakdown, but it'll show you like, oh, here are the mentions you have on LinkedIn. Here are some websites. And then it'll show you like a little graph over time where you can see your mentions going up or down. Now it's on you to know like, oh, we're getting more mentions because I'm talking about us a lot, right? Like, okay, fine. That's on you to parse through that. But also if you're doing a lot of really good marketing, publishing a lot of really good content, getting lots of great PR, then your mentions will go up over time. Like, right? They will. And then from there, looking at like correlation with sales. It's hard. Yeah. Yeah,
So
I'll pause there.
I think let me just recap it. So step one, create awesome platform native content, original stuff. Then two is you can track if it's getting out there and people are seeing it by checking for alerts and just checking if more people are Googling your trademark name, presumably if you're getting more traffic. And then three is like, is it actually having a business impact? Well, are your sales going up? And more specifically, like, did you get additional sales when this alert, when this piece hit? or when this social post went live? Like, do you just actually see a correlation in your sales numbers?
Yeah. Yeah. And before this, I looked at our book sales numbers because like our number of pre-orders we've gotten to our zero click marketing book to see like, oh, can I see the correlation? And I look at it and I can very easily see it. So the other thing is, what people used to do back in the day before all the digital stuff, how people would measure success of billboards, right? They would look at correlations or they would look at revenue in a given market in which they posted the billboard and would compare that with, national numbers or whatever it was.
Control.
Totally.
Measure,
So it's similar thing, but digital. Like, so last Tuesday, we launched pre-orders for our book, but we staggered our announcements over the past week so that we could see the impact over time. So last Tuesday, we announced it on my Substack and my LinkedIn. The next day, my co-author Rand Fishkin published on his LinkedIn. And then it was only just yesterday that we emailed our SparkToro marketing list. So we had like a whole week of a lag. So we can see like sure, I know that we got like 90 sales of our book from that email, around 90. Could some of them have actually come from my Substack? Yeah, maybe. But do I need to know, was it 1 or was it 3? Does that really matter? Because, and I push on this because it might sound like I'm trying to skirt away from rigor, but actually it's no, because if we knew 1 came from Substack or 3 came from Substack, does that change your decision making? No, it doesn't, right? You wouldn't say like, oh, well, we shouldn't use Substack. You would still do it, right? So that's the quibble that I have with digital attribution is I don't think it actually makes people make better decisions. I think we think we're making better decisions or more rigorous ones. And really, we're just trusting the numbers on the dashboard that are probably wrong anyway.
So the way to make better decisions is not saying how many tracked clicks did we get, but what happened the day we published that thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And we haven't spent any money on the marketing for this.
Mm-hmm.
Not yet. I don't know if we will, probably not.
So
but we haven't
whose
spent any
newsletter
money.
sold more books, yours or Rand's?
Rand doesn't have a newsletter, so mine.
Oh. That's the most important thing, is that you're winning.
Yeah, right. I will fudge the numbers just to like make me win. No, I'm kidding.
Awesome. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground. What is zero-click marketing? How to optimize for LLMs? How to do marketing in the zero-click world? And how to track and optimize based on it. This has been fantastic. We are at time. Do you have a hard stop, or can we take a couple questions?
I'm good. Oh,
yeah. Okay.
No, shit. I do have a hard stop.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
No worries. All right, Amanda. Thank you so much. I have learned a ton. This has been great for folks on the call. We'll send around a recording and notes and links to resources. So, yeah. Amanda, this has been incredible. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Maybe we can do a part 2 at some point.
Totally down for that.